Hey, Tiny Planet Explorers. Let's talk about dreams. Not the, oh god, I'm naked in front of everybody I've ever known dreams, but the life goals type of dream. Things that we're just so passionate about that we want to just sink our teeth into them. It's pretty common for people to say these stock motivational phrases like, follow your dreams, don't give up on your dreams. Hell, I think I've probably said something like that in the past. Well, after a recent resurgence of cringy old memories, today I'm saying, it's okay to give up on your dreams. So a couple of weeks ago in a video, I said, when I was 16 and I went through that phase, I was really into music, I was really into playing in bands, and I really wanted my future to be being in a successful band. That was a short-lived dream. And although I pride myself on being the king of vagueness, I think it's time to delve into this story a bit. It's a story that I've never told anyone, in fact, and it's just bursting to get out. In the past, I've talked about bands that I used to be in. I made a video looking back at old cringy pictures of me when I was 14 in a band called Static Lies. That was a really fun time of my life, just making arguably good music with good friends. But when we eventually disbanded, I still had a thirst for something a little bit darker, a little bit edgier maybe. And so I started another band with a friend of mine who we'll be calling Red for the sake of this story. The band was called Eliza Bell Cray, and our chosen genre of music was hardcore screamo. Would you believe? I know, can you believe an innocent cinnamon roll such as myself playing in a band like that? Oh, but me and Red, we tore the house down, or more, we tore his parents' basement down, which is where we started. Our music sounded like this. Red did the vocals, I did the guitar. It was a super simple setup, but we knew that if we were to grow, we needed more members. After a lot of experimenting and shuffling people around, we finally found some guys who wanted to join. I slowly became really close friends with the lead guitarist, who for the sake of this story, we'll call Blue. As the rhythm guitarist, me and Blue needed to be like that. We needed to be super in sync, and we were. I remember each guy in the band had their own unique personalities, which I thought was cool. I was the sort of weird guy with the video camera who would just film everything and cut together our crazy antics. I was 17 at the time, so this is way back, very early on when I was posting things on YouTube that nobody was watching, apart from me and the rest of the band. So we were writing our own material, we were playing live gigs with actual audiences, and let me tell you, I loved playing live. I would just explode with energy. It was such a good feeling. Again, it was just a simple, fun time in my life. But this is kind of the part of the story where it takes a bit of a turn. After about 6 months, me and Blue, the lead guitarist, we became really tight. Really good friends. We really wanted the band to be big. We just wanted it to work. Also, I'll admit that I was kind of enamored by how cool Blue was to me. He was a little bit older and had a girlfriend and he smoked, and I just thought, whoa, what a dude. So eventually, we got the biggest gig that we'd ever got. It was a very well-established venue in Peterborough. We invited all of our friends, we printed some merchandise to sell. I just couldn't stop thinking this could be a really good thing for us. This could be what launches us into the next step of all of this. Now, before we go any further, I should say this. Despite his awesome guitar skills, Blue always seemed kind of jealous of the attention that our vocalist Red got. And let me tell you, everybody loved Red. He was a crazy ball of energy on stage. Really funny guy, just a pleasure to be around, you know? Well, a week before the gig, Blue and Red had a falling out, which I think was pretty emotionally charged by Blue's jealousy. Red was pushed out of the band, and Blue took up lead vocals. I felt awful because it was me and Red that started this band. We were in it together from the beginning. So another friend of ours very kindly stepped in to play guitar just temporarily for this gig, which was a little bit scary because we didn't have very long to practice, but I thought, you know, this could work. He's a very skilled guitarist. Let's go with it. A couple of days before the gig, our drummer backed out. He couldn't make it because he had to go to his prom. Now, I don't hold it against the guy, but he could have told us a little bit sooner. In such a short amount of time, the band was just falling apart. We were so fractured that me and the bassist were the only guys still playing our original roles. How crazy is that? So it was at this point that I said to everybody, you know what guys, yes, this gig could be a huge deal for us, but it's not worth it. Let's just let's just back out now. At least that's what I should have said. Instead, we blindly continued, deluding ourselves that this was going to work. So another friend of ours temporarily stepped in to drum for us. Again, incredibly skilled drummer, but we had like 10 songs and 2 days to practice. Looking back, how was that ever going to work? Everything was telling us not to play this gig, but we were totally blinded by what could have been. So it got to the day of the gig. We hadn't practiced very much, but we were pumped. Now I wanted to sound the very best that I could, so you know what I did? Guess. Just take a wild guess. I changed my guitar strings before we went on. Oh no! That was probably the worst decision of my entire life. The thing with new guitar strings is you need to give them a chance to really settle in. You need them to adjust to the guitar. I didn't know that. Now, if you don't give them a chance to settle in, they keep getting wildly knocked out of tune. Wildly knocked out of tune. So, with the first act of the evening, we're up on stage, we're playing our first song. You know that moment in films where the protagonist starts to hear everything really muffled and is seeing everything as a blur and they're sweating and their heart is pounding? That was me. Everything that could go wrong was going wrong. The entire band was out of time with each other. Blue was just kind of going off and doing his own screamy vocal things. My guitar was horrendously out of tune. There were these guys in the audience shouting at me, trying to teach me how to use an electric tuner whilst we were playing a song. It was a total mess. Nobody knew what they were doing. The whole thing was just completely falling apart before my very eyes. And you know who was standing there in the audience? Red. Red was there in the audience. And despite him getting pushed out of the band and falling out with Blue, he was cheering us on. It was at that moment that I realized, what am I doing? I've made a huge mistake. And I know that's like a jokey meme thing of Will Arnett in Arrested Development saying, oh, I've made a huge mistake, but I genuinely felt I have made a huge mistake. We needed Red to hold this whole band together. He was my friend, and I let him down. Out of the 10 songs we wanted to play, we muddled through 2. And what makes it like a million times worse is that there was a girl in the audience that I really liked, and when you're 17, that's kind of like the end of the world. Because I was so embarrassed, by far the most humiliating experience of my entire life. So I pretty much just rage quitted the gig. I smashed my guitar on stage. That was a nice guitar. And then I just vanished. I didn't say bye to anyone, I just went straight home. I just remember so vividly thinking, I never want to play music ever again. I was filled with a plethora of emotions such as hatred and anger and humiliation, which for a 17-year-old, kind of difficult to handle. So I immediately took my grievances to MySpace. You thought this story was over? It never ends. So I posted a bulletin on MySpace publicly denouncing my band. Back in 2007, that was kind of the digital way of dropping the mic, or in my case, smashing the guitar. Oh, in hindsight, definitely shouldn't have done that. I lost all of my friends. Then I got a message from Blue. It was a long, mean message that ended in Blue saying, PJ, you're going to waste your life making your stupid fucking videos. It was harsh, but pretty well justified, considering how much of a jerk I was for saying the things I did on MySpace. So now, looking back, I don't blame him for being angry at me. Blue, if you're for some reason watching my stupid fucking videos, then I'm sorry that our friendship ended so awkwardly. And I'm sorry for publicly shitting on the band via MySpace, the worst crime of all. But I'm not sorry for quitting the band. So, that was all pretty heavy. What happened next? Well, after a lot of top 8 friends reshuffling and having some time to be a sad, angsty 17-year-old, I had videos. That's kind of all I had going for me. I enjoyed making videos. I wasn't doing particularly great in school. Absolutely nobody was watching them, but I loved making them. And let me just say, back in 2007, there was no way to make a career out of making YouTube videos, at least not in the UK. And again, I didn't care about any of that. I wasn't making videos to try and get famous. I just loved making things. And so, 10 years later, here we are. Weird, right? So, upon reflection, yes, I probably could have just taken the whole thing on the chin and kept making music. I'm sure a lot of people definitely would have. But I was young and couldn't handle such a sudden amount of horrendous failure. Either way, I moved on. I found something else that I cared about, something that I could be really passionate about. And you know what? I still kind of like doing it. Also, I don't think I actually could have ever been a professional musician, so now I just like to noodle away on instruments, and I'm totally perfectly happy with that. So the whole point of telling you this story is just to say that I failed at something I love. I gave up something that I loved, and that's totally fine. It's not the end of the world. I'm probably gonna fail again at certain things. Not probably, I'm definitely gonna fail again at certain things, but it's all just a massive learning experience. This is why I firmly believe, PJ, be careful here, sometimes, depending on the circumstances, it is okay to give up on your dreams. And you'll know, don't worry, I'm not just saying give up at the first hurdle. This isn't just a blanket statement, give up your dreams now. You'll know, it's a very particular feeling of, I've had enough of this. Again, just to reiterate, you shouldn't blindly give up your dreams after the first tricky hurdle, but depending on the circumstances, you'll know. And if that's left you feeling, oh man, this thing I'm trying to do is really tricky, I don't know if I should give up or not, don't give up, because you're undecided, that's the thing. You'll know when it's time. If you don't know, then it's not time. Anyway, that was my sad, happy, cringy story. I've never told anyone before. I haven't even thought about it for like 10 years. So it feels incredibly cathartic to just get it out. I very much hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments if you've ever given up something that you loved and where that led you, and let's all reminisce together. See you guys in the next video. Bye.